Hey guys, today's story is a little different. Picture a sun-drenched Boston amphitheater, graduation caps soaring, cheers echoing, and the bitter sting of betrayal slicing through it all. At my brother's college graduation, where I clapped and smiled for his triumph, I overheard my parents boast that they'd paid his full tuition while I'd scraped by on loans and late-night shifts for mine. Their words, tossed casually to a family friend, were a public gutting of my worth, revealing a favoritism I'd long suspected. My name is Nora Callahan, 28, a social worker who clawed her way through school to help others heal. I'm not here to scream or sulk. I'm here to show you how I turned their bias into my victory. And if you think karma's slow, wait until you hear this. So, before you get pulled in, take a second to like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually believe that betrayal always comes back around. Drop a comment, where are you watching from, and have you ever had someone you trusted favor another over you? Now sit back, let the room go quiet, and let me tell you how it really went down. The May afternoon was crisp, Boston's skyline sharp beyond the university's sprawling lawn, where graduates in black gowns milled with proud families. My brother, Liam, 24, stood tall in his cap, his grin wide as he crossed the stage for his engineering degree. I sat in the bleachers, my sundress bright, my applause loud, my heart swelling for him. Growing up in our modest Dorchester home, Liam and I were close bike races, late-night talks, me tutoring him through algebra. My parents, Maureen and Sean, were hardworking, a nurse and a mechanic who preached fairness but always seemed to light up more for Liam's soccer trophies than my debate medals. I'd graduated 4 years earlier, a social work degree earned through grit, working night shifts at a diner, my loans a $60,000 shadow. The ceremony ended, and we gathered on the lawn for photos, Liam's gown flapping, Mom's eyes misty, Dad's hand firm on his shoulder. I snapped pictures, my smile genuine, planning to frame one for Liam's new apartment. As I grabbed lemonade from a refreshment table, I overheard Mom chatting with a family friend, her voice proud. "We covered Liam's full tuition," she said, her laugh light. "Couldn't let our boy struggle." Dad nodded. "Worth every penny." The words hit like a freight train, my lemonade glass trembling. I'd begged for help with my tuition, only to hear, "You're tough, Nora. You'll manage." I'd managed 40-hour weeks, ramen dinners, a second-hand laptop, but at what cost? Their favoritism wasn't a suspicion anymore, it was a fact, laid bare on a day meant for joy. I stood frozen, the crowd's chatter a dull roar, my sundress too thin against the sudden chill. Mom's eyes met mine, a flicker of guilt, but she turned away, laughing with a friend. Dad didn't notice, his arm around Liam, who was oblivious, posing for photos. The betrayal was a quiet wound, deeper than the dollars. I'd given them everything: love, loyalty, late nights studying to make them proud, and they'd chosen Liam, their golden boy. I wanted to storm over, demand answers, but rage was a trap. Their casual boast, unaware I'd heard, was a power they didn't know I held. I needed a plan, not a scene. I rejoined the family, my smile a mask, hugging Liam as he babbled about his job offer. "Proud of you," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Sophie, our cousin, snapped a group photo, her grin wide. "You next, Nora?" she teased, meaning my masters. I laughed, the sound hollow. Driving home, Boston's streets blurred, the Charles River glinting mockingly. At my Jamaica Plain apartment, its walls lined with thrift store art, I collapsed on the couch, the graduation program crumpled in my hand. Why Liam, not me? I'd aced exams, won scholarships, but never their priority. The pain was raw, a quiet ache that threatened to drown me. I called my friend Claire, a fellow social worker who'd seen me through loan deadlines and heartbreak. "They paid for Liam's school, not mine," I said, my voice flat. Her silence was heavy, then, "That's cruel, Nora." She paused. "What's your move?" I didn't know. Anger urged me to call Mom, to scream, but that was weak. They thought I'd stay silent, the dutiful daughter, swallowing their bias. They were wrong. I'd built a career helping others fight for justice, I could fight for myself. That night, I opened my laptop, my loan statements glowing. Their betrayal was their opening move, mine would be a masterpiece. They'd favored Liam at his graduation, I'd make them pale at mine. I started small, checking my loans $62,000, interest mounting. Claire suggested digging into their finances. See where the money went, she said. I hesitated. Spying on my parents felt wrong, but fairness was a myth. I logged into their shared bank app, a relic from when I paid their bills during Dad's surgery. A $40,000 transfer to Liam's college, dated his freshman year, stared back. My tuition pleas had been denied that same year. The truth was a gut punch, a quiet power I'd wield when ready. They'd chosen him over me, I'd choose truth over silence. Their pride would falter, and I'd stand tall. The Boston morning was gray, a damp chill seeping through my Jamaica Plain apartment as I sat at my kitchen table, my laptop open to the bank app showing my parents' $40,000 transfer to Liam's college. Their betrayal, boasting at his graduation that they'd paid his full tuition while I'd drowned in loans, had cracked open a wound I'd long ignored. Mom and Dad's favoritism, once a vague ache, was now a stark truth, confirmed by their own accounts. I'd overheard their pride in funding Liam, a casual revelation that left me hollow, my $62,000 student debt a testament to their bias. I needed more than suspicion to confront them, I needed proof, a trail of their choices. Digging into their finances felt like a violation, but their lies had violated me first. The search for answers wasn't just about money, it was about reclaiming my worth. That quest, a quiet fire, shifted my hurt into strategy, but it came with a cost. The Nora who'd trusted her parents was fading, replaced by someone wary, resolute. That shift, a silent scar, fueled my plan, but it made me question my place in the family I'd loved. I started with their bank records, my fingers hesitant on the keyboard, the app's sterile glow a stark contrast to the warmth of my coffee mug. The $40,000 transfer to Liam's college wasn't a one-off. Yearly payments, $10,000 each, spanned his 4 years at Northeastern. My own pleas for help, met with "you'll manage," echoed in my mind, each rejection a fresh cut. I found a savings account labeled college fund, drained by Liam's senior year, with no trace of funds for me. My social work degree from UMass, earned through diner shifts and scholarships, had been my burden alone. The numbers were a gut punch, a cold truth. They'd chosen Liam, their golden boy, over me, their tough daughter. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was a dismissal of my dreams. I needed more. I called Claire, meeting her at a South End cafe, the air thick with espresso and rain. They paid for Liam, nothing for me, I said, sliding my phone with the bank screenshots. Her eyes narrowed. That's blatant favoritism. She leaned in. Check their taxes, emails, anything that shows intent. I hesitated. Hacking their lives felt like sinking to their level, but trust was dead. Back home, I logged into their shared email, a relic from when I'd managed their bills during Dad's recovery. A 2014 email from Mom to Dad read, "Liam's tuition's covered. Nora's fine, she's resourceful." The words burned, their casual dismissal a quiet wound. Another email, to Liam's advisor, confirmed they'd fully funded his education, with no mention of me. Their intent was clear, Liam was their priority, I was an afterthought. I saved the emails, my hand steady despite the rage. Claire's advice echoed, build a case. I contacted my loan servicer, requesting records of my payments, $800 a month, a chain around my life. The contrast was stark, Liam's debt-free future, my burden present. I dug into family photos, finding a 2015 snapshot of Mom and Dad at Liam's freshman orientation, beaming, while I'd moved into my dorm alone, lugging boxes after a diner shift. The memory was a quiet power, a truth I'd wield when ready. I called Marcus, a friend in finance, over beers at a Dorchester pub. Can you trace their savings history? I asked. He nodded, his voice low. Give me their account number. I'll look. His help was a lifeline, but the secrecy was heavy. I was spying on my parents, the people who'd raised me. I kept up appearances. Liam texted, excited about his job, dinner soon, sis? I replied, totally, so proud. My warmth was a mask, hiding the steel beneath. Mom called, her voice warm. You coming to Sunday Mass? She asked. I agreed, lying, work's crazy, but I'll try. Protecting them meant hiding my pain, but it felt like betraying myself. Sophie, our cousin, invited me to her birthday, unaware of the rift. Bring Liam, she said. I smiled through the call, my lies piling up. The deception was a quiet tension, a mirror of their favoritism. I wasn't just hurt, I was awake, seeing their bias in every memory. Liam's new car at 18, my bus pass, his summer camps, my library books. I deepened my case. Marcus sent a report. The college fund had $50,000 when I started college, yet none went to me. They redirected it to Liam, he said, his tone grim. I found a 2016 text from Dad to Mom, saved in their cloud. Nora's loans are her problem. Liam needs us. The dismissal was a blade, but I saved it, my folder growing bank logs, emails, texts, loan records. The truth was undeniable, but the weight was crushing. I'd loved them fiercely, believed their fairness mantra. Their choice to fund Liam, not me, was a quiet war, a battle between love and justice. One night, I held a childhood drawing I'd made for Mom, her great job, Nora, scrawled on it. The love I'd felt was a ghost, a gut punch that hardened my plan. I eyed my master's graduation, months away, as my stage. Claire suggested exposing their bias there, a public mirror to Liam's ceremony. Make them face it, she said. The idea was bold, but doubt crept in. Would Sophie turn on me? Would Mom's heart break? The fear was a shadow, but I pressed on. They'd chosen Liam over me, a truth laid bare at his triumph. I'd choose truth over silence, making their faces pale at mine. Their betrayal was their opening move, mine would be a checkmate. They thought I'd stay the dutiful daughter, swallowing their lies. Soon, they'd see the woman I'd become, and their pride would falter. The Boston dusk settled heavy, streetlights flickering on outside my Jamaica Plain apartment as I sat at my desk, the folder of evidence bank records, emails, loan statements, and texts spread before me like a battle map. My parents' betrayal revealed at Liam's graduation when they boasted of paying his tuition while I'd struggled with $62,000 in loans, had hardened into a plan, exposed their favoritism at my master's graduation, a public stage to mirror their bias. For months, I'd played the supportive sister, smiling through Liam's job updates and Mom's Sunday Mass invites, letting them think I was oblivious while building my case. Allies like Claire and Marcus had bolstered my resolve, but each lead, Mom, Dad, Sophie carved a deeper scar. The Nora who'd believed in family fairness was fading, replaced by a strategist wielding truth like a weapon. That transformation, a quiet erosion, was my conflict, but it fueled my determination to make them face their choices before our kin. I kept up the facade. At a family dinner in Dorchester, I helped Mom serve shepherd's pie, my sweater cozy, my laughter light. Dad regaled us with mechanic tales, Liam joking about his new office. Nora, you're quiet, Mom said, her eyes searching. Just tired, I lied, my voice warm, masking the ice beneath. Liam nudged me, his grin easy. Master's grad soon, huh? Big deal. I nodded, my smile tight, the word graduation a trigger. Sophie, our cousin, texted about a movie night, you and Liam in? I replied, totally, keeping it breezy. The deception was a quiet tension, a betrayal of my own heart. Lying to the me family, my roots felt like losing myself, but I needed their trust intact until the ceremony. Claire was my strategist. We met at a Back Bay park, the Charles River glinting under autumn leaves. Graduation's perfect, she said, tossing a pebble into the water. They'll be proud, off guard. She suggested a speech during the reception, revealing their bias mid-toast. Make it undeniable, she said, her eyes fierce. I agreed, but doubt crept in. Would Mom cry? Would Sophie side with Liam? The fear was a quiet ache, a crack in my resolve. Claire gripped my arm. "You're not breaking them," she said. "They broke you first." Her words were a spark, but guilt lingered. I was planning to shame my parents, the people who'd raised me. Allies strengthened my case. Marcus, my finance friend, met me at a Southie diner, its jukebox humming. "Their savings favored Liam from the start," he said, sliding over a report charting $50,000 diverted to him. "No trace for you." The numbers burned, but I saved them, my folder heavy. I called Rachel, a lawyer friend, over coffee at a Beacon Hill cafe. "You've got proof," she said, scanning my emails and texts. "But a public call-out's risky. Family fallout, maybe legal pushback." I nodded, the stakes high. "I want them to face it now, not in court." She agreed to draft a notarized statement summarizing their bias, to present at the graduation. "It's your backup," she said. Each ally was a thread in my web, but the secrecy was a gut punch, a reminder I stood alone. I kept working, my social work a refuge. At the community center, I counseled teens, their resilience a mirror to mine. A promotion to case manager boosted my pay, easing my loan burden. Colleagues praised my focus, unaware of my war. I tracked my parents' moves, strategic, not obsessive. Mom's texts gushed about Liam's promotion, Dad's about his soccer league, never my master's. A family email chain planned my graduation, Mom writing, "So proud of Nora." The hypocrisy stung, but I replied, "Thanks, my lie a quiet power." Liam called, excited. "I'm speaking at your ceremony," he said. "Cool, right?" I froze, then said, "Perfect." His role was an opportunity. His pride would amplify their shame. I deepened my evidence. At Mom's house, helping with dishes, I probed gently. "Did you ever save for my college?" I asked, casual. Her hands stilled, her voice tight. "We tried, honey, but Liam needed it more." The admission was a blade, but I saved it in my notes. I found a 2017 letter from Dad to Liam's coach, "We're funding his degree to keep him focused." No mention of me. The contrast was undeniable, my case airtight. Nights were brutal. I'd hold a childhood photo and Liam at a Red Sox game, Mom and Dad cheering. The family I'd loved was a myth, a quiet war between memory and truth. I tucked the photo away, my resolve hardening. They'd favored him, I'd favor truth. I eyed my graduation as my stage, a public mirror to Liam's. Claire's plan grew, a reception speech, evidence projected, their bias exposed. The risk was a live wire family fallout, Sophie's judgment, but I pressed on. They'd chosen Liam at his triumph, a truth I'd overheard. I'd choose truth at mine, making their faces pale. Their betrayal was their opening move, mine would be a checkmate. They thought I'd stay silent, the dutiful daughter. Soon, they'd see the woman I'd forged, and their pride would crumble. The Boston winter bit at my fingertips as I sat in my Jamaica Plain apartment, the glow of my laptop casting shadows across the folder of evidence, bank records, emails, texts, and loan statements that mapped my parents' betrayal. Their favoritism, laid bare at Liam's graduation when they boasted of funding his tuition while I'd faced $62,000 in loans, was a wound I'd turned into a weapon. I'd chosen my master's graduation, weeks away, to expose their bias, a public stage to mirror their pride in Liam. With allies like Claire, Marcus, and Rachel, I'd built an airtight case while playing the supportive sister, masking my resolve with smiles and texts. But each lead, Mom, Dad, Sophie, deepened my isolation, a quiet cost. The Nora who'd believed in family unity was a ghost, replaced by a strategist wielding truth like a scalpel. That isolation, a silent ache, was my challenge, but it fueled my determination to make them face their choices before our kin. I fortified my evidence. Marcus met me at a North End trattoria, the scent of marinara thick. Their savings were earmarked for Liam from 2014, he said, sliding over a financial timeline. Your college years show no withdrawals for you. The number stung. $50,000 for Liam, 0 for me. I added the timeline to my folder, my hand steady despite the churn inside. Rachel, my lawyer friend, reviewed my case over Zoom, her Beacon Hill office cozy with books. "It's solid," she said, scanning the emails and texts. The notarized statements ready favoritism, financial disparity. She'd presented at the graduation reception, a legal anchor for my reveal. "Public shaming's bold," she warned. "Family fallout's likely." I nodded, the risk a live wire. Exposing mom and dad could fracture ties with Sophie, alienate Liam, but silence would break me. Allies were my backbone. Claire joined me at a Cambridge bookstore cafe, the air rich with coffee and old pages. "Use a slideshow," she said, sketching on a napkin. "Bank transfers, their emails visuals hit hard." She suggested projecting it during my reception speech, mid-toast, when their guard was down. "Make it undeniable," she said, her eyes fierce. Doubt crept in. Would mom's face crumple? Would Sophie judge me? The fear was a quiet tension, a crack in my armor. Claire squeezed my hand. "You're fighting for fairness," she said. "They chose him first." Her words sparked, but guilt lingered. I called Trey, Sophie's brother, over beers at a Roxbury pub. "Something's off with Liam's college funding," I hinted, vague. "Keep an eye out." His nod was cautious, a subtle ally. Each connection tightened my web, but the secrecy was a gut punch. I was alone in this truth. I kept working, my social work a refuge. At the community center, I guided teens through crises, their grit mirroring mine. A case I'd championed, a kid escaping foster care won funding, my team cheering. Colleagues praised my poise, unaware of my war. I tracked my parents' moves, strategic, not obsessive. Mom's texts gushed about Liam's new car, Dad's about his job, never my master's. A family dinner invite came, Mom writing, "Can't wait for your graduation." I replied, "Me too, my lie a quiet power." Liam texted, "Thrilled to speak at my ceremony, gonna make you proud, sis." I smiled, replying, "You will." His role was a gift, his speech would set the stage for their shame. I deepened my case. At Dad's garage, helping with paperwork, I probed lightly. "Was it tough funding Liam's school?" I asked, filing invoices. His jaw tightened. "We did what we had to," he said, evasive. The admission was a blade, but I noted it. I found a 2018 email from Mom to her sister, "Nora's loans are manageable. Liam's our focus." The dismissal burned, but I saved it. Marcus traced a $5,000 gift to Liam's college, post-graduation, while my loan payments drained my savings. The contrast was stark, my folder heavy records, emails, texts, a timeline. The truth was undeniable, but the weight was crushing. I'd loved them fiercely, believed their were fair mantra. Their choice to fund Liam, not me, was a quiet war, a battle between love and justice. I prepped for the graduation like a campaign. I designed a slideshow, bank transfers, Mom's email, a loan balance screenshot, clean, professional, like a client pitch. Rachel's statement was printed, notarized, a legal shield. I enlisted Lena, a tech-savvy coworker, to manage the projector at the reception. "This'll be epic," she said, testing the setup. I didn't smile. This was survival. I crafted a speech. My parents chose Liam's future over mine. Here's the proof. I practiced in my apartment, the Charles River dark outside, my mirror reflecting a woman forged in fire, calm, fierce. Nights were brutal. I'd hold a childhood Red Sox cap, a gift from Dad, his "You're my champ" echoing. The father I'd loved was a myth, a gut punch that hardened me. I tucked the cap away, my resolve iron. They'd favored Liam, I'd favor truth. The graduation loomed, my quiet power growing. I RSVP'd for the family, ensuring Mom, Dad, and Sophie attended, unaware of my plan. I went to Sunday Mass, Mom's hand warm in mine, her pride a knife. Sophie planned a post-graduation brunch, oblivious. "You're killing it, Nora," she said. I smiled, my lies piling up. I wasn't just exposing my parents, I was rewriting our family's story. The risk was a live wire family fallout, Liam's anger, but I pressed on. They'd chosen him at his triumph, a truth I'd overheard. I'd choose truth at mine, making their faces pale. Their betrayal was their opening move, mine would be a checkmate. They thought I'd stay silent, the dutiful daughter. Soon, they'd see the woman I'd become, and their pride would crumble. The Boston spring bloomed vibrant, sunlight glinting off the Charles River as I stood in the university's outdoor amphitheater, my master's graduation unfolding in a swirl of black gowns and cheering families. My parents' betrayal boasting at Liam's graduation about funding his tuition while I'd battled $62,000 in loans had led to this moment, where I'd exposed their favoritism before our kin. Months of playing the supportive sister, masking my resolve with smiles, had built an airtight case, bank records, emails, texts, and a notarized statement, backed by allies like Claire, Marcus, Rachel, and Lena. My navy gown was armor, my evidence folder a hidden blade, but my heart raced like a storm tide. This wasn't just about truth, it was about reclaiming my worth in the same public arena where they diminished me. The risk was a quiet weight, one wrong move, and I'd alienate Mom, Dad, Sophie, not just shame them. Yet, their faces, Mom's proud smile, Sophie's warm hug drove me. They'd favored Liam at his triumph, I'd make their faces pale at mine. The amphitheater buzzed, graduates milling, families snapping photos on the lawn. Mom and Dad sat in the bleachers, Mom's floral dress bright, Dad's tie slightly askew, their eyes on Liam, who'd speak as an alum. Sophie, our cousin, waved from the crowd, her grin wide. I crossed the stage, my social work master's diploma in hand, the dean's handshake firm. The applause was a roar, but my focus was the reception, an indoor hall where I'd deliver my speech. Claire stood by the hall's entrance, her nod fierce. Rachel, statement in her purse, hovered near the stage. Lena, backstage, had synced my laptop to the projector. Marcus texted, "Go time." The pieces were set, but doubt coiled. Would Sophie turn away? Would Mom's heart break? I pushed it aside, my resolve a quiet fire. The reception hall was festive, string lights twinkling, tables laden with hors d'oeuvres. Liam spoke first, his voice warm, praising the university and me. "My sister's a rock star," he said, the crowd clapping, Mom and Dad beaming. His pride was genuine, but its stung reaped their favor, unaware of my burden. The MC, a professor, called me for a graduate reflection. I'd slipped my name into the lineup via a sympathetic faculty friend, ensuring a spotlight they couldn't dodge. I ascended the stage, my gown swishing, the projector screen blank behind me. Mom's smile faltered, Dad's brow furrowed, sensing a shift. Sophie leaned forward, curious. The crowd hushed, glasses pausing mid-sip. This was my quiet power, a tension that gripped the hall. I gripped the microphone, my voice clear despite the storm within. "Thank you for celebrating with me," I began, my tone measured, cutting through the chatter's fade. "This master's is a dream earned, but not without struggle." The room stilled, eyes locking on me. I nodded to Lena, and the projector flared, my slideshow blazing, bank transfers to Liam's college, Mom's email dismissing my loans, my $62,000 debt in bold. "My parents paid Liam's full tuition," I said, my words a quiet thunder. "They told me to manage mine. Here's the proof." Gasps rippled, Sophie's hand flying to her mouth, Mom's face draining to ash, Dad's eyes wide. I held up Rachel's notarized statement. "They chose him, not me, for 4 years." Liam's jaw dropped, his gaze darting to Mom and Dad, who sat frozen, pale as ghosts. I didn't waver. "You taught me fairness, but showed me bias," I said, my voice a quiet blade, aimed at their seats. "This degree is mine, despite you." The crowd murmured, faculty whispering, Sophie staring at Mom, betrayed. Rachel stepped forward, handing the statement to the dean, whose face hardened. Mom's hand clutched Dad's, her eyes wet, but she didn't speak. Dad's mouth opened, no words coming, his pride shattered. Liam moved toward the stage, his voice low. Nora, stop. But his plea was weak, drowned by the crowd's buzz. Graduates, families, friends exchanging glances, phones recording. I descended the stage, my head high, the folder tucked under my arm, my diploma a shield. I earned this, I said, my final words a gut punch, the hall silence deafening. I walked out, the Boston air cool, the river's glint a balm against my racing heart. I'd done it, not just exposed them, but reclaimed my worth, my truth, before the world they'd favored Liam in. But the victory was laced with sorrow. Mom's pale face, Sophie's shock, Liam's confusion. Had I broken them to save myself? The guilt was a quiet ache, a fracture in my triumph. Claire hugged me outside, her voice fierce. You were unstoppable. Rachel texted, Dean stunned. They're cornered. The graduation was my reversal, turning their stage into their shame, their bias bared. They'd thought me silent, a daughter to overlook. Now, their faces pale, their pride crumbled. I wasn't done. Family ties needed mending, a fight for Sophie, Liam, even Mom and Dad. But today, I'd claimed my name. Their silence was their defeat, my voice was my rise. The story wasn't over, but the ending was mine to write. The Boston summer unfolded in a haze of green, sunlight filtering through the trees outside my Jamaica Plain apartment, where I sat at my kitchen table, a new case file for a teen client open before me. My parents' betrayal, boasting at Liam's graduation about funding his tuition while I'd shouldered $62,000 in loans, had culminated in my master's graduation, where I exposed their favoritism with a slideshow of bank records, emails, and a notarized statement. Their pale faces, Mom's stunned silence, Dad's frozen shock, and the crowd's gasps were justice, a public reckoning for their private bias. But justice wasn't wholeness. The reveal had strained family ties, leaving Sophie distant, Liam conflicted, and Mom and Dad humbled but defensive. I'd reclaimed my truth, but rebuilding our bond was my true work. The Nora who'd trusted their fairness was gone, replaced by a woman forged in resilience, yet craving connection. That craving, a quiet rebirth, was my challenge, to craft a life beyond their shadow, for me, my clients, and my family. The fallout was immediate. Mom called days after, her voice trembling. Nora, why so public? She asked. I met her at a Dorchester diner, its vinyl booths worn, coffee bitter. You chose Liam over me, I said, my hand steady around a mug. I needed you to see it. Her eyes, wet but steady, met mine. We thought you'd be fine, she admitted. We were wrong. Her apology, raw and halting, was a bridge. I love you, she said, touching my hand. The gesture was a quiet power, easing my guilt, but her pain lingered, a gut punch of the cost. Dad was silent, his texts curt, but a letter arrived. We messed up. Let's talk. I filed it, not ready, but open to a future mending. Sophie was harder. She texted, hurt, you blindsided us. I drove to her South Boston apartment, the harbor glinting beyond. I had to tell the truth, I said, standing in her cozy living room, her cat curling nearby. Her eyes softened, tears falling. I'm mad, but I get it. Liam was their favorite. We hugged, her trust a spark. Liam was toughest, meeting me at a Cambridge brewery, his face guarded. You shamed them, Nora, he said, gripping a pint. I met his gaze. They shamed me first, Liam. I fought for fairness. He nodded, slow. I didn't know about your loans. His honesty, fragile, was a seed. The fracture was my internal war, a quiet battle between justice and family. Their trust, tentative but growing, was worth the fight. I poured myself into work, my social work a sanctuary. At the community center, I secured housing for a teen client, her gratitude a mirror to my grit. A local award for impact boosted my role, my salary easing my loan payments. Claire noticed, over tacos at a Roslindale taqueria. You're unstoppable, she said. I smiled, the truth bittersweet. Success was mine, but alone. Liam's debt-free life, Mom and Dad's pride in him, were ghosts. One night, I found a childhood letter from Mom, "You're our star, Nora." The love I'd felt was tainted, a quiet ache. I kept it, my resolve steady. Their bias had forged me, but I'd outgrown their shadow. I rebuilt my life. I joined a running group, the Charles Rivers Trails a New Rhythm. I volunteered at a literacy program, teaching kids to read, their joy a light. Sophie visited, baking cookies in my kitchen, her laughter a gift. "We're good," she said, dusting flour off her hands. I hugged her, tears pricking. Liam invited me to his office lunch, his voice warmer. "You're my hero, sis," he said, half joking. Mom and Dad came to a community center event, their pride cautious but real. "You're doing good, kid," Dad said, his hand awkward on my shoulder. They'd offered to help with my loans, a gesture I declined. I'd earned my freedom. Liam's absence at family dinners was rare, his life busy, but we texted, a slow rebuild. My career grew, a national conference inviting me to speak on youth advocacy, my voice reaching hundreds. I opened a small fund for foster kids' education, my legacy taking root. Claire threw a promotion party, my team toasting, "To Nora." I smiled, their trust a new family. The graduation was my turning point, but this living, thriving was my victory. Mom and Dad had thought me secondary, a daughter to overlook. I'd proven them wrong, not with screams, but with a life remade. Their faces paled, their bias bared, my star rose. The story was mine now, and I was writing its future. Word count, 914. 300-word closing. The Boston autumn glows, leaves carpeting my balcony where I stand, coffee steaming, the Charles River a silver thread below. My parents' betrayal favoring Liam's tuition while I carried $62,000 in loans, exposed at my graduation. He's a scar, not a chain. I shamed them with truth, their pale faces a reckoning, but the real triumph is here, in the life I've built. Sophie's visits fill my home, Liam's texts mend our bond, Mom and Dad's cautious pride warms my Sundays. My work, my fund, my runt's theory mine, forged through pain but shaped by choice. I'm no longer their overlooked daughter, but Nora, whole, radiant. This wasn't revenge, it was rebirth. I found my strength, not in their shadow, but in my truth. The center, the kids I guide, the family I'm rebuilding, theory my story, written in resilience. Mom and Dad's bias lingers, their apologies a start, their lessons learned. I don't gloat, I'm free. To anyone watching, know this, betrayal can break you, but it can also build you. I rose from the ashes, and that's the victory that endures. Where are you watching from? Have you reclaimed your worth? Share your journey in the comments, hit like, subscribe if you believe justice carves its own path. Thank you for walking this with me. Keep crafting your own story, make it unshakable.